I always wanted to be a pilot from the time I was 4 years old and had my first airplane flight. I was just amazed with it. I didn't have any money growing up. Aviation's expensive, so I went in the Air Force hoping to get to learn to fly. I was a navigator first, back before we had GPS and Google Maps. And then I got to go to pilot training. After pilot training, I flew a Learjet for a little while. And then they changed the law that restricted women from combat. And I was chosen as the first woman to fly the F-16 in the Air Force. Very fortunate for that timing, but it was also more challenging and a little more work than I anticipated, because on top of just learning to fly the F-16, which is demanding enough, I had all the pressure of helping the women that were gonna wanna follow me, right? So I had to do well, I had to succeed. Otherwise, our experiment in women in combat was gonna fail. So I did that, spent my 20 years in the Air Force, retired as a lieutenant colonel, and then went to Southwest Airlines, where I flew for almost 15 years. I took early retirement during the pandemic as a captain from Southwest, and that's when I started speaking and life coaching and teaching at Grand Canyon University. In training in the F-16, I particularly struggled because of the additional pressure I put on myself and I felt from outside. So I adopted a saying that's my personal mantra, which is, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. Because I had so many naysayers and so many people trying to get inside my head telling me I didn't belong, that I really needed to ignore them and focus on the people who supported me and my performance and just what I could control. So that's probably the best lesson I learned through all of this, is we get to control who gets inside our head. We get to control whose opinions matter to us. We get to control who we pay attention to. And when you're in a situation where you're often the only, and even today, women pilots at commercial airlines are about 5%. So you're almost always going to be flying with a man. So it's good to understand that, because you're still going to find people, unfortunately, who don't necessarily appreciate women pilots. But they're the minority. And as I said before, we have proven for generations that we belong here. Mentorship is critical because, as I said, we tend to still be underrepresented in aviation. And there's things that all pilots go through, and there's things that women pilots go through. And those are the things we can help with particularly. So we can help with the general, this is the track through the civilian world, get your private, get your commercial, become a CFI, do all that. But we can also help with how to handle it if your young male instructor isn't taking you very seriously, or you don't feel you're being treated properly. And the other lesson I learned in my career is choosing your battles. If I wanted to, early on in my F-16 career, I could have been upset and arguing with someone every single day. But you have to choose your battles, because you only have so much energy to put towards other people, and you need to save the rest of that energy for yourself. So I think mentors in a big way can help young women choose their battles and figure out what's important and where they need to stand up for themselves and where they need to just go, I'm not going to be able to influence that person, I'm going to let it go, right? So that's one key thing for mentorship in aviation for women. Just after I retired, I just started at Southwest Airlines. Some of the young women who had come after me developed what we call the Chick Fighter Pilot Association. So a little support group for women fighter pilots. And we had our very first reunion at Las Vegas, Nellis Air Force Base, home of the fighter pilot, in 2007. And going there and being there with like 40, I think there was 40 of us, 40 other women fighter pilots was just amazing for me, because I had spent most of my career on my own. And it was just great to see.